Hello, my dear students. This is your friend and mentor Mrinal, and I welcome you to BYJU'S. Well, let me tell you something in advance कि आज मैं आपको कुछ भी पढ़ाने वाला नहीं हूं, ठीक है? I'm not going to teach you anything. You're not going to study anything. Now, does that mean that this session, what we are going to do, does that make you confused? Yes? Okay. Let me take off this confusion from you right away. आज हम क्या करने वाले हैं बच्चों? आज हम सीखने वाले हैं कि हम कैसे पढ़ें. How do we study? How should we study? What should be our plan? You also had a session with your bio sir, that is Puspendu sir, and he taught you and he told you some ideas about what you should be thinking and how you should be preparing. I'm just going to take it forward from there, and I'm going to tell you that with regard to physics, which is the most feared subject, right? When it comes to NEET exam, I have seen most of the students saying that sir, bio तो हो जाता है, chemistry भी आसान है, but physics नहीं बनते, right? So physics is a rank decider. तो आप कैसे क्रैक करोगे फिजिक्स? आपने सोचा कि आप एक साल ड्रॉप ले रहे हो, आप रिपीट कर रहे हो, कोई बात नहीं. एक तो ये रिपीट और रिपीटर्स वाली टर्म अपने दिमाग से हटा दो. ठीक है, क्यों हमने ऐसा सोचा? Why did we take such a decision? The reason is कि we have that confidence that within this span of time, I'll be much better prepared. And if I am better prepared, I can expect a better rank. That's true. But one thing is true as well, that this year or the past 2 years, you have made some mistakes. And if you're going to repeat those mistakes, trust me, the result is not going to be anything different. So we have to analyze these mistakes. And from the starting itself, we need to understand that where and all we have gone wrong. And then as we go on correcting our mistakes and building onto our strength, we'll be able to crack the NEET exam. That is our goal, which is Mission 2022, with absolutely amazing ranks, the ranks that you dream of, right? So this is where I am standing here for. This is why I am here for, to tell you all these things. In detail we'll be discussing, but of course as we continue session by session, आपको और भी चीजें और गहराई से बताई जाएंगी. आपको everything, like we'll be peeling it off layer by layer for you. Okay? To start off with, we must understand the exam. So you have got so many things. You have got all the resources in the world. आपके पास बहुत सारी books हैं, बहुत सारे videos हैं. You have got so many sessions. You have got so many questions. क्या करें? कैसे पढ़ें? Right? Now you see, the requirement of different exams is different. So the preparation also has to be different. Well, talking about the NEET exam, first thing is that you need to decode this exam. You need to understand this exam. What is this exam all about? And how do you crack it? Correct? So now, first thing is resources. Now I'm sure all of you are having more than enough resources with you, right? We need to analyze that these resources were with us even in the previous years, right? पिछले 2 साल में हमारे पास ये सारी बुक्स, ये सारे मटेरियल थे ना. तो फिर क्यों ऐसा कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं आ रहा है? Why we are not getting this confidence that I can get a very good rank in this year itself? क्यों ऐसा हो रहा है? तो हमको एनालाइज करना पड़ेगा बच्चों. We need to analyze things. We need to realize that where we went wrong. ठीक है? अब जब आपने ये 2 चीजें कर ली, तो आपको एक की चाहिए. You need a key. And this key is the plan, the master plan to crack NEET. Okay? Now I'm sure it's not possible to design a plan which fits to all the students, because the requirement, the learning pace, the understanding pace of all the students are different. But this is what I have myself experienced. I have myself applied when I was preparing for the exam. And I'm sure this applies, and the problems that you face is in general which is faced by 90% of the population. तो अगर आपको प्रॉब्लम हो रही है, अगर आपको परेशानी हो रही है, यू आर नो डिफरेंट. होता है, ठीक है, सबके साथ होता है यार. It's not you're the special one who is facing all these problems. It happens to each one of us. But to succeed, what we need to get over it. ठीक है? तो हमको क्या चाहिए? Master plan. Well, I'm going to help you in that. ठीक है? So now that you have decided that you are going to attempt NEET in 2022, my first suggestion to you would be that please attempt NEET 2021 as well. You might say, sir, the whole point of dropping this year was I was not confident. No problem. Just take it as a test to get a feel of the environment that you have in a NEET exam, to understand where you stand in the NEET exam. These things are important because then you will realize actually that where you went wrong. So first thing is, do take an attempt. Be brave enough. Come on. Okay? Is this understood? Till this point, we are clear with it? You all are with me? Okay. Talking about decoding this NEET exam. So NEET exam, as you all know, it consists of 180 questions and divided between bio, chemistry and physics. Okay. Now, bio has 90 questions. We know chemistry 45 and physics 45. We all know the pattern, right? So how do we prepare for physics? Most of the students I have seen, they love biology. They are thinking that, okay, so this is my favorite subject, so I'll go on reading it, and somewhat they get emotionally attached to a subject. But my dear friends, to get a good rank, you need a proper guidance, you need a proper amount of effort in all the three subjects. One subject is not going to help you. Okay, so although you can have any of the three as favorites, no problem, but don't ignore others. Okay, is this correct? Okay. Now talking specifically about physics, कि physics में क्या करें? Physics हम कैसे पढ़ें? Physics अभी हमारे पास ये जो 9 और 10 months हैं हमारे पास, how do I prepare so that I ensure that I am going to get a very good rank? तो physics को अगर हम divide करते हैं in terms of chunks as such, I can say, so you will get mechanics, SHM and waves, optics, heat and thermodynamics, modern physics and electrodynamics. Now you know कि mechanics में क्या आता है? Mechanics में you have motion in one dimension, motion in two dimension, concepts about force and all that. ठीक है? SHM and waves, self-explanatory है कि क्या आता है उसमें, right? So you all know that what chapters are included in this. When I say optics, I mean ray optics as well as wave optics. Now, why I have divided it like this? Because we need to understand the opponent. The opponent in this case is the NEET exam. Now, you have to understand this, that if you are able to crack the pattern of the NEET, कि NEET में questions आते कैसे हैं, what type of questions are targeted, from where the questions are targeted, which topic or which chapters have more weightage, which chapters have less weightage, then only your plan is going to be a proper one. Because this plan is now backed up with proper data. And if you have all these analysis, then trust me, cracking this exam is going to be fun as well as it's going to be easy. Right? So what we do first of all is to find out that from all these segments, how many questions are asked. Now, to make you understand that, I have a graph where you have got all the topics written along the x-axis, if I might say, and along the y-axis, you have got the number of questions. So this is how the topics are distributed. So if you see just last year, this is the analysis. So you had 12 questions from mechanics. One question was from simple harmonic motion and waves. You had 5 questions that were asked from heat and thermodynamics, 4 questions from optics, and 15 questions from electrodynamics. And then modern physics had 8 questions. All right. So this was the share. in the last year. But this is not going to give us the trend or the idea. At least we need to understand what has been asked in last 5 years to make any calculation, to come to any conclusion, right? Otherwise we'll be rushing into things. So we need not rush into things, right? So if I go back to 1 year before, you see 19 questions, mechanics. Then 14 questions. And you can see the trend for other years as well. So at least we need to summarize, we need to understand for last 5 years. And once you know this, you know who is having the lion's share. It is nothing but mechanics. तो अगर मैकेनिक्स से सबसे ज्यादा सवाल पूछे जाते हैं, if from mechanics part maximum number of questions are asked, what is our job, what is our duty, is to dedicate maximum time to mechanics. Quite obvious है ना? It's quite obvious, right? कि जिस चीज से सबसे ज्यादा क्वेश्चंस पूछे जाते हैं, हम उस पे सबसे ज्यादा टाइम दें और हम उसको सबसे पहले टारगेट करें. करेक्ट? तो सबसे पहले प्रायोरिटी ऑर्डर बनाते हैं कि what should be our priority order. And this priority order should be based on the data itself. And data is right in front of you. Correct? So I want, at this point of time, I want all of you to note things down. Because this is what you are going to follow throughout. Correct? So, priority order में हमारे लिए सबसे पहले कौन सा आना चाहिए? Mechanics. Mechanics should be our first priority. Correct? Then electrodynamics. Correct? Then we have a choice of optics and modern physics, in which we see modern physics has more number of questions that is being asked. So as a trend we are seeing that what is going on. So this is how you understand how to prioritize what you are going to learn. So mechanics will take up maximum time, and we must give maximum time to mechanics. Okay. Similarly, next comes electrodynamics and so on. So if I talk in terms of percentage, that is the average percentage over the 5 years, you see mechanics around 32% of questions. SHN and waves, it's 5% of the question. Then you have got heat and thermodynamics around 11%. Then you have optics around 10%. Then you have electrodynamics around 26%. And finally, you have modern physics, which is around 16%. And what is the time span that we have? The time span that we'll be having, or we should target, should be not more than 9 months. Yes, 9 months में इस सब को complete करना है, अच्छे से पढ़ के खत्म करना है. We need to complete all this in 9 months so that we have sufficient time for revision. We have sufficient time to work on our weaknesses and to understand our weaknesses. Now the question comes is, how will I know my weaknesses? Right? That's a very valid question. कि मुझे कैसे समझ में आएगा? Where do I go wrong? Well, to do that, you need to have a proper analysis. Proper analysis of what? Proper analysis of how you are performing on a daily basis, how you are performing on a question to question basis. Now you'll say, sir, for you to say all that, it's very easy, but karke batao. Tell me how to do it. Correct? I'll tell you how to do that. Don't worry. Okay? Just hang on. Just understand what I'm talking about. The first thing is to split off these 9 months such that we are able to give sufficient time to every topic as per the requirement of this NEET exam. ठीक है? तो कैसे divide करेंगे? You have mechanics, first 2 months, month number 1 and month number 2. Okay? जब भी आपने सोचा कि from now I'll start, and it's better that you start, the sooner the better, of course. So first 2 months will go through mechanics only. अब next question is, तो mechanics में करे क्या? We have already studied that, right? In 11th standard I have studied mechanics, but अब शायद बहुत कुछ भूल गए. How do I study that? Well, what you need to stick to is the favorite book, the most important book, that is NCERT book. ठीक है? उससे आपको concept पढ़ना है. and then take any standard textbook, or you have got all other resources. You have got all the session videos with you. You have got the BYJU'S books with you. So go through the concept, and then what you have to make is the short notes. You're not supposed to write everything in short notes. That is why it is called as short notes. You just need to jot down the important points, like important formulas. And as we go session after session, I'll also teach you how to make them, but most of you know it for sure. Correct? The short notes is one thing that you have to do. Now, once you have made the short notes, you have to understand that since all these concepts are not new to you because you have already gone through them once, what you have to do is you have to dedicate your time 30% in studying the concept and making the short notes. The rest 70% will be taken up in the practice of the questions, because questions is where you find it difficult to score, right? Many students I have seen, they complain कि sir concept तो समझ में आ जाता है, no problem, I don't have any problem in concept, आप बोलो मैं आपको समझा दूंगा यार, questions नहीं बनते. Questions nahi bante, you're not able to crack questions because you don't practice it enough. You don't practice it enough. So, next thing is to define a practice set. Now, what is this practice set I'm talking about? Let us say you're going through motion in 2 dimension. आप projectile motion पढ़ रहे हो. You have written down all the important formulas, you have noted it down, okay, in a couple of pages. And then you take any standard textbook that you are referring to for questions. You can also have the BYJU'S book that you have. And just go through these questions with given timestamp. How do you attempt these practice questions? Select the questions from that particular chapter or that particular concept. Okay? And then sit down and attempt it. Attempt it as if you are giving a test. Attempt it as if it is your NEET exam. This is what you have to do. Sets after sets, concept after concept, chapter after chapter, and subject after subject. Right? Next, once you have reached to an optimum level, once you have gained your confidence, then don't wait for the entire syllabus to be over to start off with previous year's question. Once you are feeling comfortable with the questions, immediately try out chapter-wise previous year's question. At least past 20 years for now. Past 20 years question. Now, attempting previous year's question is very, very important because that also gives you an idea about where the examiner is targeting. That will give you an exact idea from where or from which formulas the questions are being asked, which concepts are targeted. You'll be able to pinpoint yourself. आप खुद एक पेपर को प्रिडिक्ट कर सकते हो. People say it is unpredictable. कभी 20 years का पेपर सॉल्व करके देखो चैप्टर वाइज. You will be able to predict कि क्या important है, क्या नहीं important है. But one thing you have to ensure, since you have got these 9-10 months with you, आप कुछ भी नहीं छोड़ेंगे. You are not going to leave any chapter, any topic. You're going to complete everything. Right? Okay. इस तरह से you need to practice, you need to make short notes, and you need to attempt the chapter-wise previous year's question bank. Okay? And that is supposed to be done for all these segments. That is mechanics, then electrodynamics, then optics, then SHM, and then heat and thermodynamics. Now, when you're doing this, you understand that in first 2 months, that is month number 1 and 2, when you're practicing mechanics, just practice mechanics. But when you come to month number 3 and 4, along with electrodynamics, ensure that at least every week you are doing a practice set and previous year's question of mechanics as well. Now you might say, sir, I have already solved previous year question. Why do you want me to solve it again? Well, trust me, even if you have solved it, again when you do it, you will commit mistakes. Okay? And these are the things that you need to solve. Because now since you have made up your mind that you're going to utilize this time in the best possible manner, and you're going to crack NEET in one go, then you should not leave any stone unturned. Don't take it lightly. Okay? Next, modern physics. So when we are into the third pack. This is first, this is second, and this is third. Okay, so you can call it pack number 1, pack number 2, or stack number 1, stack number 2, whatever you call it, no problem. But when you reach to this third stack, modern physics, you'll be almost in 5th or 6th month, and you'll realize that you're getting better in mechanics. And trust me, the concepts of mechanics are also applicable in optics, where questions will be asked from a mirror which is moving, the object is moving in front of the mirror, relative velocity concepts will be there, and by this time you'll be so well versed with these concepts that everything in optics will seem easy for you. Okay, so when we are in modern physics, we'll ensure that we are also practicing for mechanics, electrodynamics, because modern physics as such is a easy topic. Why? Because questions are very direct, and most of the questions that we see is formula oriented. Of course, as we go along in the sessions later on, we'll also decode what is important, what is not important in modern physics, what is important in optics, how we should study all that. Yes, we will talk about it, but now we are just talking about a layout. Okay, then you have to go for SHM, and then finally heat and thermodynamics. This is how you need to prepare. Perfect. Now whenever you are taking up this practice set, what happens is you don't understand where you have gone wrong. For this, I am giving you how do you analyze these practice set, and this analysis is very important, very important. So talking about any question, when you start a test, there are only 3 possibilities. One is either you get a question as correct, or you get a doubt in that question, or you don't know that question. तीन ही चीजें तो होंगी, या तो आपको पता होगा और आपने वो क्वेश्चन करेक्ट किया होगा, या तो आपको लगता है कि आ रहा है क्वेश्चन, आई थिंक आई नो इट, यू आर इन दैट कंफ्यूजन स्टेट, बट कुछ मिसिंग था, इस वजह से गलत हो गया, राइट? और थर्ड इज कि आई डोंट नो, मुझे पता ही नहीं है कि ये क्या आ गया. Only these 3 possibilities are there. If it is correct, no problem, fine. If it is doubt, always put a dot over there, because we are going to analyze, and I'm talking about the practice sets that you are going to solve. This is how you should analyze. So once you have solved this, once you have taken up this test, this is how you have to analyze. Okay, while taking the test, if you are not able to solve it, put a dot, and if you are not able to do or you don't know, put a cross. Okay, make it as a habit. Session by session, day by day, as you go on practicing, well, you'll feel that you are becoming better at it. Okay, now the next thing is, when you have taken up a test, when you have given a test, you have given a practice sheet and you have selected some 30 questions, always time is the key. Remember, NEET is a test of speed and accuracy. So you need to focus on speed and accuracy. Otherwise, you're not going to get to the desired result. कहीं ना कहीं आप फंस जाएंगे. Okay, you are competing with lakhs of other competitors. तो अगर आपकी प्लानिंग सही है, अगर आपका एग्जीक्यूशन सही है, and if you are 100% committed to your goal, trust me, nothing stands between you and the rank that you have dreamt of, or the college that you have dreamt of. ठीक है, तो कैसे करें हम? So let us say एक practice set है जिसमें I have taken 30 questions, और for 30 questions the ideal time that I set, the target that I set is 45 minutes to start off with. ठीक है, अभी तो just हमने शुरू किया है, so we'll go on reducing the time drastically as we go ahead. ठीक है, month by month, stack by stack, as we go along, we'll go on reducing our time. Okay, as we move from mechanics to electrodynamics, we'll reduce this time little bit. Okay, maybe by 4 minutes, 3 minutes or so. But what kind of analysis do we have to do? Well, let us say there is a set which contains 30 questions, and in this 30 questions, let's fill it up as if I have given a test. So now, if I fill this up, I have attempted 22 questions, okay, and this is in 45 minutes. So at 45 minutes, you must drop your pen, leave it. Whatever you have done, it's totally fine. Okay, the first thing is honesty with yourself. So you are going to write down which topic you're talking about, or which test you are writing, on which date you have taken the test, what was the time, start time, end time. Okay, so 45 minutes is what you should take for 30 questions, not more than that. Remember, NEET is a speed test. Okay, so let us say you have attempted 22 questions. The number of questions that you got is correct is 16, which means the number of wrong questions is 6, and the number of questions that you have left is 8. So the score is 58 out of 120. Now, at this point of time, you should not get demotivated, because this is not the main thing that we are targeting. What we are mainly looking for is your attempt percentage and accuracy percentage, which means the speed and your accuracy. So how do we find this attempt percentage? Always find this attempt percentage for you and set it as a target. So it is nothing but the total number of questions that you have attempted divided by the total number of questions that are there. That's your attempt percentage. So in this case, it is obviously going to be 22. This is going to be 22 divided by 30. Correct? And that comes out to be equal to around 73%. No problem. Okay. So you were able to attempt around 73%. Okay, this is your attempt percentage. Now we have to ensure that this goes beyond in the next test. This becomes your baseline, this becomes your target. अब आपको next practice test में इससे ज़्यादा तो करना ही है. This is your target. Okay. Next is accuracy. Accuracy is total number of questions that you got it correct divided by the total number of attempted questions, which means this accuracy percentage will be total number of questions that I got correct was 16 divided by the total number of questions that I attempted. So 16 by 22. What do I see? Well, my accuracy percentage is 72. So yes, little bit low below the borderline, but yes, I'll try to improve it and try to get it more and more and more till I reach to like 95, 98%. That should be the ideal target in the given stipulated time. And then you have to find the amount of time that you have spent per question. These things are very important, because once you look at these data values, you know exactly that whether you are spending more time on a question or are you not enough accurate, or are you attempting less questions only. Okay, so if I see the time that I get per question is a 1 minute, around 1.3 minutes, which is more than the amount of time that I get in the actual NEET exam. So we'll try to bring this down to something around 30-40 seconds or 45-50 seconds. That's the optimum time. We'll try to bring this down. Okay, so these are the takeaways. These are the takeaways that you should have. Okay, so this is all about what I wanted to tell you in this particular session. This is what I wanted to convey overall. Be ready and always be realistic enough, always be honest enough to understand your own weaknesses. Then only you can work on it, and then you can make it as your own strength. So remember it. And I also give you all these points in a downloadable format. You can download it. The link is there in the video description. So you can find that and you can download it. And then you can use it again and again, test after test. And this becomes your own self-report card. You don't need to tell it to anyone. It's just you who is on the path of self-improvement. And the more honest you are with it, trust me, the better you are getting at it, and the better chances of you to get good rank in the NEET. So now that we have understood all this and we have done a proper analysis, next is that how many ways can I go wrong? Okay, I understand that I have committed some mistake because of which some questions, well, I was not able to score. So how many types of mistakes are there? Let's identify that as well. Okay, so what we are trying to do over here is we are trying to get into the micro level. Okay, so now we are trying to understand that what kind of mistake it is and how do I get over it. The first one is omission error. What is the cause of omission error? Omission error means simply that you just missed out on a certain content. So if you missed out on a certain content, well, what you have to do, this miss could be of n number of reasons. Maybe because you have missed the particular class, or while you were making short notes you might have missed that formula, or you might have thought that it's not important. All right, so what you need to do, you need to go back and Go to the content or the book that you're referring to, figure out that formula, and then jot it down in your short notes. Ensure it is done then and there itself. Okay. Next is careless error. Careless error, you say that very casually, but मुझे नहीं लगता कि any error that you are committing because of carelessness should be taken lightly. ठीक है? Why? Because you are losing out on marks. This might be because of calculations or misreading. Let us say आप बहुत हरी में, you are just going through a question, you are hurriedly going through a particular problem and you missed out on certain important information. और हो गया mistake. हो गया, कोई बात नहीं. But once you realize this, you ensure that you're not going to repeat that again. Right? So, how do you counter this? Don't rush. Okay. Next is priority error. What is priority error? So, priority error is if you have ignored certain content, which means that you thought that this formula is not important, but a question based on that formula came. As I told you, you're going to cover everything. Okay? You're not going to miss out on anything. तो अगर आपने इग्नोर कर दिया किसी कंटेंट को, तो अब क्या उसका सॉल्यूशन है? गो बैक, go through that content and write it down again. Okay. Next is application error. Okay. So in application error, it means that you are not very much familiar with that particular concept, maybe with that particular formula. So what is the solution? Well, you need to go back and practice. Understand from where that formula is derived. Understand the derivation. तब आपको कोई problem नहीं आएगी. Alright? So, what you need to do is practice. Always ensure that you are practicing that formula at least 5 times if you are committing a mistake because of application error. Okay, and once you have done that with the derivation, trust me, never in your life you're going to forget that formula or you're going to have any kind of confusion in that particular formula. Next is mastery error. What happens is sometimes we are so overconfident कि क्वेश्चन था लेंस मेकर्स फॉर्मूला का एंड हमने कुछ और ही फॉर्मूला लगा दिया. इट हैपेंस. यू आर ओवर कॉन्फिडेंट. और समटाइम्स यू थिंक कि अरे ये क्वेश्चन तो देखा हुआ था, आई थिंक इसका आंसर ये था, एंड यू जस्ट रश. You feel as if you have seen that question, and that feeling comes quite often. Okay, so you try to recall that question and try to recall the answer. Well, please avoid doing that. Every question should be a fresh question to you, and you should attempt it as it is. That's the way to go forward, right? So avoid cramming, means avoid recalling a question. Every question treat it as a fresh question, although you have done it n number of times, but it is a fresh question for you. Attempt it like that. Okay. Now, once you have done all this, make a setup like this where you have got all the question numbers. You know which concept or which content it was targeted to, and then what were the type of mistakes that you did. So if there is a particular type of mistake that you're repeating again and again, ensure to write there that this is your weakness, where you need to work harder, where you have to put in more effort. अब यहाँ पे और ज्यादा काम करना है. बाकी चीजें आपको आती है, लेकिन जैसे ही कैलकुलेशन आता है आप गलती करते हो, तो आपको क्या करना है? आपको आपके कैलकुलेशन को स्ट्रांग बनाना है, और वो तभी आप बना पाएंगे जब आपको ये रियलाइज हो, when you realize that you are making mistakes in calculation. ऐसे ही तो overcome करेंगे ना. This is how you are going to overcome on your weaknesses, right? First, figure out the weaknesses. सब कुछ filter out करके आ गया अपने पास. अब इस पे काम करना है. Practice makes a man perfect. Remember this as a rule. Correct? So, this is what we are going to follow throughout from day one. Practice after practice, and then sets after sets of question we will be solving, then previous year's question we will be solving, but the analysis remains the same. So once you do this, then you become a master yourself. You'll yourself understand that what is important, what is not important, why I should study this formula, why I should study this derivation, which derivation is important, what is targeted, what is not targeted. You'll understand all that. And all that, if you know in 9 months, trust me, you are there, my dear friends. You are there. But last but not the least, something that I've seen is people get driven away and they go on studying for long hours, they go on sitting for long hours, and they lose their concentration. Sometimes I see students, well, there's a negative impact even on their health. So ensure you are healthy, because that is very important for you. Then only you will be able to focus, then only you will be have your 100% concentration with you, right? So ensure that you're having a proper sleep, at least 7 to 8 hours, and you drink sufficient water so that you are hydrated, and you exercise regularly, physical as well as mental exercise like meditation. That will help in boosting of your memory, that will help you in remembering something quickly. So once you're very sharp at it, then you'll quickly able to attempt all these questions. So this was some rough ideas, some rough guidelines that we need to start off with. So this is just the starters. The main course is still left, and I'll see you again in the sessions to come. और फिर और बहुत सारी बातें करेंगे और बहुत सारी टिप्स आपको बताएंगे और आपके साथ रहेंगे और नीट क्रैक करवा के छोड़ेंगे. So that's my commitment to you, my dear friends. This is Mrinal signing off. I'll see you next time.